So let's talk bank feeds. I'm going to be sharing with you 2 ways that you can connect your bank feed, so the list of transactions that automatically happen in your bank account. How can we get that to feed live in real time to your Xero account? So that's what we're going to be going to, taking you through those 2 methods of achieving that. But at the same time, it's important to know that as amazing as bank feeds are to pull that information in, they do go wrong and they cause major issues in your Xero. So at the end, I'm going to be sharing my top tips around what to do when your bank feed glitches, because I can tell you something from my experience in running my multiple businesses, and also one of my main businesses is as the practice principal of an accounting practice here in the UK. And I have a team of 8 that look after multiple businesses across multiple industries. And I see it's just a common thing that these bank feeds, as awesome as they are not reliable. So we need to understand what we can do to kind of deal with those issues when they come about, and how to actually pick up when the bank feed has an error. So I'm going to be talking about that at the end. So stay tuned if you want to hear that. But before I go into that, let's talk about how all those 2 ways that you can actually connect your bank feed. So you can see here, I'm just like in what I would say is a demo company, and it's a new Xero. You can see I've connected one bank feed up just so for the purpose of this video, and you can see that it's sitting here on our dashboard. So let's say, okay, you come to your Xero, and the first way I'm going to show you is that you connect the bank feed at the same time as you create the bank account. The second method I'm going to show you is how you can connect the bank feed if you've already created the bank account in Xero. So let me take you through the first method. So if you go to your accounting menu at the top here, and you go to bank accounts, this is going to bring you to the page where you manage all bank accounts that are connected to your business. So you may have your main bank account, you may have a credit card, you may have a savings account. So your business may run off of multiple bank accounts. So let's say you open up a new savings account and you want to get that bank feed into Xero. So the first method I'm going to show you is where you get the bank feed connected at the same time as creating that new bank account in Xero. So you've set up a new bank, you're maybe with Santander this time. Let's just use that bank as an example. And you're going to come accounting to bank accounts, which will bring you to this screen. You're then going to hit this add bank account button. You then can either scroll down the list and select your bank, or you can type it in here at the top. Okay, so there I'm going to select Santander. The next page that it brings you through to is a page where your bank is going to try connect directly to Xero. It might be a direct connection between Xero and your bank, or sometimes they use a piece of software that links in the middle. So you can see here in this instance they're using Tink, that's going to get the information to flow from Santander to Xero. And do note, when you connect your bank up to Xero, it's just a flow of information in one direction. So there's just information flowing from your bank into Xero to say these are the transactions that have taken place. What doesn't happen, or what isn't available, is you're not going to have the ability to then make payments or add payees to your bank account from Xero. Xero has no control over your bank, which is a good thing, because if you connect your bank feed up and you have a team, you have employees, and you want them or someone else to actually go in and do stuff in Xero, you can know that your bank account and your money in your bank is safe. It's not like by connecting your bank to Xero that suddenly people can now access the money in your bank. It's just a one-directional flow from the bank to Xero. Okay, so what we've done so far is we have just added a bank account, we've selected the bank type, and it's brought us to this screen. What you are now going to do is you have to hit this agree and log into bank. This will then take you to your specific bank. So whether that's Santander, HSBC, whoever you bank with. And at this point, it's going to ask you to enter your login credentials for that bank. So your ID and your password. So I can't show you that in this example because that would be personal information, but you would enter that in and you'll then hit next. What typically happens, it depends on the bank, but it'll bring up a list of all your bank accounts that you have access to with that information, and you will then select which bank accounts you want, which bank account is the one you want the data to flow into Xero from, okay? And that once you've done that, you've followed those steps, it will then pop you back to Xero and the bank feed will be connected. Okay, so that's method number one. Method number two is, let's say you've already got your bank account set up in Xero, and maybe up until this point you have been pulling in manual bank statements, and now you want to connect a bank feed. All that you need to do is, if you come to this bank accounts menu, you can see here where a bank account has been set up previously, and Xero should give you the option of get bank feed. So you're just going to hit that button, and then you follow a fairly similar process to the one that I outlined before, where you're going to log into your bank using your credentials, select the correct bank account, and those transactions will begin feeding in. Typically, although I spoke about the transactions being live and in real time, typically, depending on the bank that you're with, they pull in overnight. So what will happen is you'll log in the morning into your Xero and you'll see the transactions from the day before. But at the end of the day, that is a lot better than only downloading a bank statement once a week or once a month. You are getting that information through daily. Now, I did mention at the start of this video that I would talk about what to do when these bank feeds glitch, because as amazing as technology is, making our life easier, not having to pull this information in manually, it does go wrong sometimes, and it's more often than you think. So what typically happens with these bank feeds is quite often transactions will be duplicated. So like two of the same transaction will pull through, or transactions will be missed. So the bank feed will just skip over a transaction and it just doesn't pull into your bank. Now that can become an issue when it could be £1,000, it could be a small amount, but it adds up over time. So when you come to say, actually, there might be incomes or expenses you haven't accounted for. So if it's forgetting to pull in some expense transactions, then you're going to end up overpaying tax. Or what happens is at the end of the year, your accountant's going to want to say, okay, can I have a bank statement from you that you take from your bank? And they are going to want to agree the balance on your bank account to the balance that is showing in Xero. And if there's a difference, that indicates that something has gone wrong with the bank feed. So let me show you what you need to do. Okay, I have just come to a demo company here that has a bank information for me to do this example with you. And basically what you need to be aware of is that how are you going to pick up these possible duplicates or missing transactions? What I recommend is a minimum of once every 3 months, put a little kind of repeating calendar reminder into your online calendar or whatever software you use to remind yourself to do this once every quarter. You are going to log into your online banking and pull up a bank statement. So say, for example, I'm sitting here on the 22nd of Feb. I'm going to want to say, okay, let me look at what my bank balance was when I log into my online banking as at the end of January. So 31st of January, my bank balance on when I log into, in this case, like HSBC or Santander, it's showing a certain balance. Then you're going to come to, you saw here from the dashboard, you click into the bank account that you're verifying the balance of. And when you first come into the bank account, you'll see across the top here are 3 tabs. The Reconcile tab is probably where you spend most of your time, because that's going to be where you're actually doing the majority of your work when it comes to bookkeeping. You've got your cash coding, your bank statements, and your account transactions. What we want to focus on here is the bank statements tab. So click into that bank statements tab. And we now want to scroll down to the 31st of January. Now you can see on the 31st of January, there were multiple transactions on the same day. So you want to make sure that you scroll to the last transaction that occurred on that date, because that will give you the closing balance at the end of 31 January. So you can see here that according to the bank feed that we have within Xero, the balance should be at the end of 31st of January, 8715.89. You are then going to go to your bank statement or where you've logged into your online banking and check that as at the 31st of January, and you're going to do the same as what we did here. You're going to look for the last transaction on the 31st of January, and once the bank balance has been adjusted for all the transactions that took place on that day. You're going to compare this balance here, 871589, to that balance. And if there is a difference between those two, that indicates that your bank feed has glitched. Either it's pulled in duplicates or it's missed transactions. So what do next? You choose to go back a month or two. So you'll go back to I don't know if this demo data goes that far back, but you would, in this example, you'd go back to the 31st of December, okay? And in this case, you can see that our last date is 28th of December, so we're going to the last date in December, and we're going to do the same. The last date in December shows a bank balance so we're on this balance column of 253.24. You go to your bank statement or your online banking, you look at the end of December, what was the balance? And you keep working backwards till you find a month end at which those two balances agree. When you find that means that, so say we come to November, and at the 29th of November, we finally find that the balance here, that's that column over there, on the 29th of November was negative 1,050.33, and on the bank statement it agrees. That means all transactions November and earlier are correct. So the first issue must exist somewhere that happened in December. So then you're going to work day by day, agreeing the balance at the end of each day per the Xero bank feed to your bank statement until you find an issue. Now, let's say you identify a duplicated transaction that's pulled through. How do you fix that? Okay, so let's say maybe I don't have an exact example here, but let's say these two were both for £50 and they were both for Brunswick Flower Supply. So we need to get rid of the duplicate. So let's say this one's the duplicate. You're going to need to delete that transaction. To do that, you can see that it's reconciled. So you're first going to have to click into this transaction. So if we open it in a new tab, and we're going to hit this remove and redo button. And then you're going to go back to, we might have to refresh the screen just so we can see that that transaction has now been removed. Well, not removed, that it's been unreconciled. Okay. So what we're basically saying in this instance is assume that these two transactions are identical. Two transactions of £50. We have to first unreconcile it. Then we can click here and we can hit the delete button. So that's going to help you to remove any duplicate items that you find the bank feed has pulled in. And you will keep doing that until you get to the point that the most recent date's bank balance agrees to your bank statement. Now, if you find that there is missing transactions, so this example was duplicate, if you find there's missing transactions, like the bank feed in Xero has just skipped over a transaction, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to manually import those missing transactions. So what you can do is you come to the top here and you're going to say import a statement. I'm just going to open that in a new tab. Okay. And to do this, you're going to need to use an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Sheet. So if you want to know how to fix that, I will, without making this video too long, I think what I'm going to do is I will link to a separate video showing you how to import a manual statement. And that will then help you to bring in those individual transactions that have been missed on the bank feed. So thank you. I hope you found this useful. My channel is all about helping you to become a Xero hero. So if you want to hear more videos like this and you don't want to miss the next time I put a video up, then please do like and subscribe. And yeah, see you next time.